Welcome to Blonde Cards and Crafts. Let's make something together. Hello crafters, welcome to my channel if you're new here. Welcome back if you're a subscriber. Today I'm going to make a card using the Made to Surprise products by Sam Calcott. I have made two cards previously using these products, so have a look in the description below. You'll find links to my Granny Kathleen card and my Mike card. And the Mike card, in that the little head moves. It's such a cool card. So I'm going to use these and I'm going to make an easel card, and we're going to make a granny peg. These are birthdays that I have coming up, and that is why I'm making these cards. So links are in the description to the products I'm using as well as the previous videos. So have a look there if there's something that you might need. So what you're going to need for this card is a card base. I have one here. It's a shop bought one. So it's an 8x8 card base. And what I've done is I have scored it at 4 and it's already been scored at 8. This is going to give us our easel card base. I also have a piece of pattern paper. This pattern paper is from the Twist and Pop paper pad. It's 180 GSM, and I have backed this using some 300 GSM cardstock because although we're making an easel card, I want this whole panel to stand up. This piece measures 7 3/4 by 7 3/4, so we'll have a little white border going all the way around. I've also got, now let's see, first we'll start with our little head. I'm using this one here with the little bunches. I've just cut those off, so I'll take this piece out here so you can see. So this is the die that I used for Granny Peg's hair, and you can see there I've cut the two bunches off. I've also used this face here and head. So this is my little head. I've shown you in previous videos how I do partial die cutting. So when I pop this on my cardstock, I put the plate up to just before this part here that cuts. That way when it comes through, I can then cut the neck, and it just allows me a bit of wiggle room when I'm putting it into the little dress for Granny Peg. I've also used this for the face. And I've die cut out these, which are the large white part of the eyes. I've die cut out these in the flesh colour as well as the gold colour, and they'll give us some shoes for with our dress. And if you've seen my Granny Kathleen card, I do the origami dress. We make one there together. So if you'd like to see how I made the dress, make sure you go to that video and it'll show you how I did it. And so my little Granny Peg, she's going to sit in there. Now I'll cut this piece down so it just tucks under the white piece there. So we'll just pop it there for now. I have her hair here, and then I have all my little bits for the face, the eyes, the little shoes that'll go under here. So she's wearing her ballet flats. And let's have a look now at what else I've used. So I've used the Happy dies that come in here, and that's those large dies. They're fab large die. These two here, you get the background as well as the word, and I've die cut these out in pink. The white, I've used my sparkle pen on that, so there's lots of glitter. I know you probably can't see that in the camera, but in real life there's loads of glitter on that. So I've used that Happy, and I've also used the Celebrate here. This will be the stopper for our easel. I've taken some of the Craft Stash foam. I've put a piece of pink cardstock on top of that, and then I've used the die and put it through my Big Shot machine. I've just rolled it through once. Don't come back the second time because it can cut, it can kind of resit on the piece and cut it out awkwardly. So just go through one time. You can see I've weeded out the little bits in this so that when I go to take my piece off, that'll just all come away nicely. Most of the backing paper hasn't been cut through, but it has in some places. So I find it easier to add the card onto the foam and then die cut than die cut the two separately and join them up. I struggle to line them up, so this is the way I do it for me. Okay, so I've also taken the Changing Faces icons and stamps. I've used the glasses here to die cut out the gold glasses. I used on my mini-me, I used these glasses, and I'll show you it here. This is what inspired me. I made this little version of myself, and I knew when I was doing out the head that I had this little dress because I made it from a previous card inspired by Sam, and I had this standing up on my shelf, so I thought, oh, I could add arms to this head and a little body and the little shoes, and so that's what I did. And don't forget, with here I have the hair that came with the other die set that we get. I die cut it out 2 times and I layered it down so it gives the longer hair that you can see here. And because my hair is quite long, I wanted longer locks. So don't forget, you can, you know, adapt the dies that you have to give you a different look. So I use these glasses for myself, hence the reason why I went with these cool ones for Granny Peg, which is my mom. So that's my mini-me. I've put her on a stand as well, and so she sits on my windowsill just like so. Can you see her there? Yeah, you can. She stands up, and she stands up perfectly. She's here beside me on my windowsill, giving me moral support in my crafting. So now I think that's everything. The only other thing, my little butterflies that I am going to use, it's just from a random die that I had in my stash. So in order to make these little butterflies, if you have a die, and you can see here it cuts out pieces, so when I use that little die from my stash, this is what it gives me. So I have a little bit left in there. There we go. And I wanted it to have a back on it. You see here, this one has a little back on it, the same with this one. So what I do is, to do that, if I wanted a gold butterfly, I would pop my piece on there and die cut it out, and that would give me this in gold. But if I wanted to have a background, then I'll take a piece of folded cardstock, I'll pop that on there and die cut it out, and what will happen is this piece will pop off, the top piece will pop off, but the back piece, when it goes through, it doesn't cut all the way through. And what I'll do is I'll quickly show you that. Wait a minute there and I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to take my folded over cardstock, place my little die on it and put it through my die cutting machine. So when it comes out of my die cutting machine, and I put a little bit of tape on it just to make it easier, this is what we'll have. So you can see here, the die has cut through both of pieces of my cardstock. And if I take a little pokey tool, and I can see there where the two are joined, because this really does, it squeezes the cardstock together. So if I just put my pokey tool between them, you can see that one will come away from the other, but it hasn't cut all the way through. So that means I can now layer this piece. So if it was in a different color, you can layer the two on top and glue the two together, and then you have this lovely butterfly in 2 colors. And then I just took a black pen to draw through the body, and I just gave them a bit of shape by bending them up, but they will flatten down, but I've just bent them up. So I've done them in the blues and pinks because this is the color theme running through the card, and I did one in the black as well. I took a gold pen I have this one here in my stash. This came in a Love from Lizzie kit, but I used that to embellish the little wings with little gold accents. I thought that was really cute. So that's everything. That's how if you have an intricate die and you want to have a back to it, you don't want it to look like this, you want it to look like this, then double up your cardstock and run it through. I use my Big Shot and it cut through perfectly through the two, but not enough to cut out the little bits. Okay, so that's all our pieces and parts that we need. Let's go ahead now and do a little bit of assembly. So for my little pieces for my mini me, I have used my Distress Ink Vintage Photo to go around my craft cardstock just to give a little bit of depth to the hair, and I haven't gone over all of it. I've just kind of blended in some colour in places because our hair, even if it's dyed, you know, there'd be kind of shadows and light areas on it, so from a distance that will look really cool. I've also used the Tattered Rose to do some ink blending around the face of my little person, and I've got the picked raspberry. I'm going to add little cheeks there to her face, but I want to wait until I'm doing the assembly for her face. I've also got two arms for my little person, for my granny peg. And what I did was I took a piece of the cardstock, the same color as the head. I folded it in half. I laid it down underneath my dress, and then I just did a C shape, giving the shape of the arms. Then I took my scissors and I cut out that shape that I drew using a pencil. That way it then gave me two pieces. I took my Tattered Rose and I did a little bit of ink blending around the edges. See, I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but the center down the middle is the color of the actual cardstock, and the Tattered Rose is just along the edge. So when that is tucked under like so, it looks like Granny Peg has her arms behind her back, because we do get little hands in the die sets, but I think they're a little bit big. You know, I think you can see it on my mini me here with the arms behind the back. I think the hands are a little bit big, so hence the reason I pop them behind the back. So it's like as if Granny Peg is going to be standing there looking out at the world, happy as a lark. So that's how I did my ink blending around my little person. So I'm going to start now with gluing down my piece with my pattern paper and my 300 GSM backer on that. I'm going to glue that down into place, and then we'll start doing some assembly with this. So to glue down my pattern paper, I'm using some Clair glue, and I've just decanted the very large bottle into this. It was the Made to Surprise Accent Glaze bottle. I rinsed it out really, really well, and then once it was rinsed out and dry, I then added my Clair glue into it. Now, I have a score line here, and once this is folded like so, our card base will sit like that, and that gives us our easel card. So I only want this to sit on that part here, not on the back piece. And we will have a little border around there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of glue to the side here, along the bottom and up the side, not halfway, just a little under halfway. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in about 1/4 of an inch along here and up to the top. Now you could use a tape, double-sided tape. I'm using my Clair because when this dries, it dries really strong and hard. It gives a very stiff finish, which is what we want. We want strength there for our little mini me to sit on. So now I can pop this down into place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay it, put it down so I have 3 even pieces, the sides and the top, and then I can flatten it down another bit and make sure that it's in the right place there. So I want the sides, bottom and top to have the same border, more or less. And I know now that this is going to sit up because we didn't put any glue above that score line. So now we'll give that a chance to set. Just up a little bit there. Perfect. So now when the card is taken out of its box or its envelope, it'll look like this, and then when the recipient goes to sit it up, it'll sit up like that. It'd be lovely. So I'm going to move this over to the side so that it can dry, and I'll put my little glue pin back in the bottle. And if you like my glue pins, I do have a link down below to my Etsy shop where I sell them. So now for my little person, we need to do a bit of assembly. So I'll need a bit of glue, and I'm going to use some quick grab glue. I've got some of the Creative Craft Products glue. It comes in a big bottle. I decant it into these smaller ones. I just give it a little shake, and then I'll add a little bit of glue to the top and to the bottom there, and then I'll just sit that under there like so. And I want to have a little gap there. I think I'm gonna cut off that little corner there with my scissors because it's peeking out. Perfect. And I can glue that in. And then I'm just gonna round over that corner as well so I don't have the same thing. I'm gonna add a little bit of glue there and a little bit to the bottom. And then we'll tuck that behind as well. Lovely. Lovely. And they don't have to be exactly the same because, you know, we're not exactly the same on both sides. So I leave that to dry. And while that's drying, I'm going to work on my little granny peg. So if you look when you're adding the hair, when you pop the hair into the place that you want it, if you look on the back, it kind of sits above the head. So when you're adding glue, it won't matter in this case, but you know, you don't need to add glue the whole way up on the head. So I'm going to add glue all around here. This glue from Craft Stash, it isn't tacky, and that means that when it dries, there's no residue left behind, and you really can't see where the glue was, which is brilliant. I hate a tacky glue that if any of it seeps out, you're left with the sticky residue. I find that so annoying, especially when I was starting to craft. I found that, you know, the glue would ooze out. I might use a little bit more than I needed. So there, I have extra. I'm just going to wipe that off. But you won't even see that. And I want the little ears there just peeking out. So that's perfect. So now we have all our little pieces here. So I have the little eyes, and I've die cut these out in white. Then I've die cut them out again in a kind of a dark blue. And then I've die cut out again with a black. Now you can just color these pieces in if you wanted, but I've done them in the actual colors. I sat down, I was crafting with my friend Benita, and I was doing all this, prepping all this card. I've die cut out the mouth in pink, and I need my little pickup tool. Where is that? I've got the mouth here, so that will sit on there. And we have the little eyes, and then they'll sit on there like that. I didn't die cut out the eyebrows because you won't see them. And then the nose, it's a tiny little speck of a nose there. And so that's how our eyes will look when all the pieces are glued into place. And I think that looks so cute. So now I'm going to assemble the little face. I'll speed through that, and then we'll tuck her into her dress and add her shoes. Now, there we go. So I'm delighted with that. I think our granny peg looks fabulous. I hope you agree that she looks really well. I like that our easel piece pops up. I was considering having it so that, you know, this part here at the back didn't pop up, but I think it stands up our happy birthday sentiment there. And I think our granny peg looks great on the background there as well. I love my little popped up butterflies that I've die cut out using a die from my stash. And then we have our celebrate word there, and it's perfectly enough for our easel to sit up against. Yeah, I love this. I love the products. These made to surprise faces. I just love them. I think they work really well with an 8x8 card if you want to give them a little body. I think my mom will be delighted with this card. There's room here that I can write my message, and that when the card is displayed, because it's displayed open like that, the message isn't kind of going to be seen, so it's out of the way and you just see a beautiful looking card. You could always put a message on the back, or you could have put a message on the inside here, you know, on the back there. So when the card is like this, the recipient can read a message, or you've got lots of room on the back. So, you know, this would even be a good card for in an office. If you had someone leaving the office, there'd be lots of space for people to write their message. So I hope you've enjoyed this card make. Don't forget that there's links to products down below in the description, as well as links to my Facebook group. I'd love if you make this card that you can share it with me, and that if you share your cards on Mixed Up Crafts, because Sam has a Facebook group there as well, you might mention that you were inspired by my card make as well as Sam's products. So that's it. I'm going to leave it there. I hope you're having a lovely day, and until next time, I'll see you again really soon. Thanks for watching, and bye bye for now. Bye bye.